All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're digging into a pretty bold claim, the quote-unquote easiest way to make your first $100,000. $100,000. Just let that number sit there for a second. For a lot of us, a number like that feels, well, huge. It feels like a finish line that's so far away you can barely even see it. And let's be real, seeing it spelled out like that can be pretty intimidating. Maybe it even feels totally out of reach. If you feel that way, you are definitely not alone. But what if we're all just looking at it the wrong way? And that's exactly where this idea of a blueprint comes in. You know, a blueprint doesn't just show you a picture of a finished house. It shows you every single step, every beam, every wire, every nail that you need to build it. It turns this overwhelming project into a clear, manageable process. So, let's start with that big question. When we say easiest, we're not talking about effortless. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. No, easiest here means the most direct, the most logical, the least complicated path to get from here to there. This slide illustrates the whole idea perfectly. On the left, that's the view that gets so many people stuck. You see that $100K as one giant impossible wall to climb. But on the right, that's the blueprint approach. It's not one wall. It's a foundation, and then a frame, and then a roof. It's a series of planned, achievable actions. You know, every solid blueprint has to start with a solid foundation. And in our case, before you even think about saving or investing a single dollar, that foundation is your mindset. Honestly, this is the most critical part, because if this isn't strong, the whole thing can just crumble. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Just wishing you had $100,000 isn't going to make it magically appear in your bank account. But having a concrete plan, having a blueprint, that's what turns a wish into an actual project you can work on. So, what does this mental foundation actually look like? Well, it boils down to three really important shifts. First, you got to start seeing wealth not as luck, but as a skill, something you can actually learn and get better at. Second, forget about these intense burnout sprints. This is all about small, consistent actions over a long period of time. And finally, you have to play the long game. Patience is your absolute best friend here. Okay, with that mindset foundation firmly in place, it's time to build the engine for our blueprint. This is the machine that's actually going to power your progress day after day, and it's called your cash flow. To put it really simply, cash flow is just the difference between the money coming in and the money going out. A positive cash flow is your #1 wealth-building tool. Seriously, think of it as the fuel for this entire journey. And building this engine is all about pulling two main levers. You want to maximize the money coming in, and at the same time, you want to optimize the money going out. The real magic, though, happens when you're working on both sides of that equation at once. So let's look at the income side first. This is about so much more than just asking for a raise. It's about increasing your value. It's about learning valuable skills, things like coding, digital marketing, you name it, or negotiating better, or even starting a side project. The more value you can provide, the more you can earn. It's that simple. Now for the other side of the engine, savings. And look, this is not about depriving yourself of every little joy in life. It's about being conscious. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing exactly where your money is going so you can aim it towards what actually matters to you, like hitting that $100,000 goal. You would be shocked to find out how many people can find an extra few $100 a month just by tracking their spending. Okay, your mindset is locked in. Your cash flow engine is humming along nicely. Now, it's time to add a turbocharger. This is the part where you make your money start working for you, and it speeds up the whole process like you wouldn't believe. Welcome to the absolute magic of compound interest. It's such a simple idea, but it's unbelievably powerful. It means you earn returns not just on the money you put in, but also on the returns you've already made. It is literally your money making its own money. And this chart just shows you the raw power of that accelerator. If you left 10 grand in cash, 10 years later, it's still 10 grand. In fact, it's worth less because of inflation. In a savings account, it grows just a tiny bit. But look what happens when it's invested. That same $10,000 more than doubles. That is the accelerator in action. That's how you really put your foot on the gas. So, we've walked through the entire structure, right? From the foundation to the engine to that accelerator. Now the only thing left is to turn this general plan into your personal blueprint. Let's just recap those three stages one more time. First, you lay the foundation with the right mindset. This is a skill, and you have to be patient. Second, you fire up that cash flow engine by earning more and spending smarter. And third, you hit the accelerator by putting your money to work through investing. See? Each stage builds right on top of the last one. It's a logical, direct path. So the only question left is the one right here on your screen. Looking at this whole blueprint, what is the very first, small, manageable step you can take today to lay that first brick?